Shalom and welcome. This video is to anybody who is possibly atheist or believes in evolution, anyone who's not religious whatsoever, just kind of thrown out the window or just have moved along from religion in general. I respect your views 100%, and in no way is this video a way to convince you to become something. Not at all. This is a video just talking between four eyes, my eyes and your eyes. So I hope that this is helpful. Now, in Judaism as a whole, we believe that you must think, you must question everything. It must be based on rational belief and knowing something. Not faith, but knowing something. We question everything within Judaism, and you have a right to question everything. This is really, the foundation of Judaism is to question everything. Don't just accept everything that you're told. Question all things. This is the beauty of Judaism. There is no either believe what I believe or you're going to hell. This is not what Judaism is about as a whole. The point is question all things. Challenge all things. Rationally think all things. So if you're doing a study of all world religions, I'll make this video very brief. And again, this is not a video to convince you at all of anything. I just want to talk to you because I respect you and I respect your beliefs, and I just want to talk to you one-on-one. The point is, if you look at all world religions, and all world religions I love and respect, and I have no personal attacks or wishes, bad intent for any religious belief or non-religious belief. Period. What I'm going to say is this. If you really want to know why Judaism stands apart, this is why. You look at this is the faith of Israel. You look at all world religions all over the world. They could all be true or they could all be false. Every religion, without fail, starts with one person starting the movement. One person making a claim. And we know this. And I'm sure if you're an atheist or an evolutionist, you know this. You know in every single religion who starts the religion, who is the founder, who is behind it all, or who was the main name behind the religion. For example, in Buddhism, it's Buddha. In the Muslim faith, it's Muhammad. In Christianity, it's Jesus or Paul, whichever you want to say Christianity began with, or Rome. In all religions, you always know, the Mormons, Joseph Smith, Jehovah's Witness, Charles Taze Russell. You can go on and on and on and on. The interesting thing is that when you look into Judaism, the faith of Israel, Yehudah, it began when Elohim spoke to 3 million men, women, and children at Mount Sinai. That's the claim. If you read the Torah states, for example, in Exodus chapter 19, verse 9, Elohim, God says to Moshe, "Behold, I will come to you in a thick cloud, so that all the people will hear when I speak with you." All the people. Now, if we look at all world religions, and again, this is not an attack. This is not saying that this religion is true and this one's not, because I love and respect all faiths. But I'm just singling out Israel. You look at all religions around the world, it always begins with one person saying, "God spoke to me," or "an angel spoke to me, trust me." But the origins of the Abrahamic faith begins with Israel. And it says there that it began when God spoke to 3 million people. Now, if you go to a university, or any university, the professors in their religious studies are teaching that no, God never spoke to 3 million people. It's a lie. Somebody came along and made the whole thing up. They came to a group of idiot nation, bunch of cave people, and made up a story that God spoke to your ancestors. Some very, very, a great speaker went to a nation and said, "Look, I got to tell you something, folks. A long time ago, God spoke to your nation. But don't bother asking your family because they don't know nothing about it, because it was lost for hundreds, let's just say hundreds of years. Don't even bother asking your family. Even though it was a national revelation where 3 million people of Israel heard God speak and say, "Hello, I'm God." Don't bother asking your parents because it was lost. And now I, let's just say Fred, have come to quote unquote relaunch the religion. This is what they're teaching. That someone made it up and said, a long time ago, God spoke to your ancestors. But then it was lost. The tradition was lost. The gap. And now I, Fred, so there's Moses, gap, Fred. This is what they teach. And many people who deny the Torah, they'll say, no, God never spoke to 3 million people. Give me a break. It never happened. So the question that we pose, or you can pose to yourself, is, who is this individual? Who is this individual who made it up? Who said that your ancestors spoke long ago? The answer is, he doesn't exist. He's nowhere to be found in all of history. This would be the second greatest human being in all of Israel, or Israel, the faith of Israel. Yet he's nowhere to be found. You'll never find him. That's the point. And second, there is no gap. There is not a single historical record in all of Judaism and all of Jewish history of a gap where nobody knew about Mount Sinai or even heard about Mount Sinai. Even though people might have believed or didn't believe within the Jewish people, everybody knew about the story of Sinai. There was never a time where it was lost. And there is no Fred. He doesn't exist. You could look from today till next year. You'll never find the name of this person who, quote unquote, started Judaism or the faith of Israel. It doesn't exist. The Torah says over and over that, for example, in chapter 19 of Exodus, that God says, I'm going to speak to you in front of all the nation. And it says in chapter 19 that Moshe took the nation to meet God. Literally took the nation to meet Elohim, God. And over you see in the Torah, the nation, and the nation saw the thunder, the lightning, the fire from Mount Sinai. It also says in the Torah, you would think if somebody's making up a book, you're writing this book, making it up, right? What would you say to the future people that would read this book? You would probably say, if you have any questions, your ancestors have questions, go to the high priests, go to the teachers. Ask them questions. You know what the Torah says? Ask your father and mother. They'll tell you all about this experience. Ask your grandparents, your elders. Another thing that's amazing about the Torah and the faith of Israel is that the Torah makes an incredible prediction in chapter 4 of Deuteronomy. It begins in verse 32. It asks a question of the future. For you who's reading today, it says, ask yourselves, look back at all times gone by, from the beginning of creation until today. Has there ever been a single nation or any group of people that have ever heard the voice of God and saw the fire and experienced God? It goes on and on about he took you from a nation, as a nation, from out of Egypt. Has this ever happened in all of history? It's a challenge for the future. No, it never did. Now, think about this. Somebody's making this up. Let's be rational here. Somebody's writing this in a book. You make it up. Let's just say that it was made up, right? We're done with the Torah. Now we're writing at the very end. And let's just say me and you were making up the Torah. And I go to you and I say, you know what I want to write at the end of this book? I want to write here, even though we made it up and we pulled the wool over all these people's eyes. I want to write in this book and say, you know what? This is a one-time event. This will never happen again. A national experience. Or even God speaking to a group of people. You know that there's not even a single religion that ever claimed that God spoke to 3 people, 4 people, let alone 3 million. Let's just say 150, not even 3 people. But yet the Torah says it will never happen again. that God speaks to a people. Now, if there was ever a religion in history that ever claimed a national revelation, or that God spoke to a bunch of people, 10, 5, you name it, you could take the Torah and throw it in the garbage because you know that it was a lie, that the author lied, and it's not from God. You could throw it all away. And yet, if you look throughout all of history, there is not a single nation, not a single religion on earth that ever dared make such a claim, except Israel, the Jews. So we have a problem here. There is no Fred, there is no inventor of the religion, there is no gap where the Torah was lost. There is nothing to prove that the faith of Israel was invented. Because the truth is, you could never get away with inventing an event where a whole nation heard God speak. It is absolutely absurd to imagine rationally that this would have been the greatest event in all of world history. And it just was forgotten throughout history. I mean, any rational person of the nation that you're going to would say, are you kidding me? How could I not hear about this? Why did my grandparents not tell my parents? How could I not know? How are you telling me about this amazing experience? So we begin our beliefs with knowing. That's why it says in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 35, to you it was shown, it's talking to the whole nation, to you, Israel, it was shown that you may know, not faith, know that Yehovah is Elohim, that Yehovah is the name of God in Hebrew, that He is God, there is no other. It's knowledge, knowing something is true. And I know that this is really difficult. See, what happens is atheists threw everything away. They threw the Bible away, not knowing that there were two Bibles in one. Yes, I do mean two Bibles. The Old Testament and the New Testament. These are two different Bibles. What people call the Old Testament is not the Old Testament. It's a church-perverted version of our Scripture, the Hebrew Scriptures. The Old Testament is the Hebrew Scriptures, which we believe in. And our Scripture is verified. Sodom and Gomorrah, you can go see the ruins for yourself. They still exist, the ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah. Noah's Ark, it's very controversial, but we do have a location. The Scripture in the Torah tells you that Noah's Ark landed in the mountains of Ararat, which is literally in Turkey. And if you Google right now, just Google 1 second, just takes 1 second, Google Noah's Ark, Turkey. You'll see thousands of images of a massive vessel, a boat, that is in the mountains of Ararat, stuck in the dirt, in the mountains. Just where God said it landed, in that vicinity. The Red Sea crossing, a lot of atheists will deny this because it sounds absurd. What are you talking about? God parted the Red Sea? Yeah, sure, made up. But honestly, I ask you to honestly look into this. It just takes a few seconds. Go to YouTube, type in the Red Sea crossing. Okay? There's video footage that they took under the Sea of Reeds, or the Red Sea, whichever you want to call it. They put a camera under the Sea of Reeds, and there's actual documented footage of what is under the Red Sea. Chariot wheels, horse remains, human remains of the Egyptians that were covered by God in those waters. It's incredible. The real Mount Sinai, type that in, look it up. The real Mount Sinai is located in Saudi Arabia. Look it up. There's actual video footage. Now, I know that there's a name out there that's very, among Christians, it's not a popular name, and I don't support Ron Wyatt. He has a very bad reputation from atheists, and I understand that. I totally understand that. But the fact is, these sites exist, regardless if some nut is using it for their own purposes. Forget about that. Forget about Ron Wyatt. Forget about all these things. Ron Wyatt did not discover these things for the first time. These things were already there. He's just putting his stamp on it. Forget Ron Wyatt. Look up the information. Okay? The real Mount Sinai is located in Saudi Arabia. It is fenced off by the Saudi Arabian government. And in that site, it's documented that they have the stone pillars where they sacrifice the golden calf. The real Mount Sinai, only the peak of Mount Sinai where God came down in front of all 3 million people, God himself, in front of the whole nation. Only that peak of Mount Sinai is burnt, completely burnt to charcoal black. All the rest of the mountains look normal, but just specifically Mount Sinai itself are all burnt to smithereens. Just a coincidence? It's not. It's real. This is real. I can go on, but there's a lot of things if you take the time to look into these things. We believe in rational understanding. Now, in Judaism, like I said, we are very rational. There's so many different ways of looking at things, and not everybody feels the same way. Not everybody believes. A lot of people in Judaism believe still in evolution in their own, understanding. They pick and choose from evolution. But if you even look into the long dates that are given in evolution, if you look up, dinosaurs and humans, very controversial because people roll their eyes and get all, oh, come on. No, really look into it. It doesn't take long to think and question things. Dinosaurs and humans. The scriptures basically teaches that the earth is not that old. And, people who believe in atheism and evolution will just wave it off and go, see, this is why I threw away the Bible. I don't believe in it. Well, let me tell you something. Look into this. Again, you can look deeper into it, but if you don't really have the time, you just want a quick search, Google image right now, dinosaurs and humans coexisting. You will see pictures of evidence from all over the world of cultures that depicted and drew and painted dinosaurs and built dinosaurs into their architecture. They knew what dinosaurs looked like. This is way before 1802 when they discovered the fossils. There's a lot of problems with the evolution theory, atheism, and the beliefs of the scriptures. There's actually a lot of evidence when you're looking at the Hebrew scriptures, a lot of evidence. It just takes time and looking into these things rationally. And if you don't want to, I respect that as well. I do respect that. But you can look into things. Do not fear to question what is. So, you can know something is true if you truly search with your heart. That being said, I'm not making this video for any reason. I'm not trying to convince you of anything, to join anything. I just want to make this video to present a case, to just make you think. Because it's okay to think. Don't be afraid to think and question anything. Thank you so much for your time, and shalom to you. And subscribe if you would like to. I have many videos on many topics. They're all different variety of topics. And I hope, God willing, to make more videos. And God bless you, and thank you so much for your time. And I appreciate your time.